My name is Jack Kielty, and I'm from Northern Ireland.
Welcome home! Welcome home!
This year, the place I was born is 100 years old.
Number 3, go! Go!
It's emotional really for me because I genuinely love this place and I love the people.
But many here can't agree whether it's a birthday.
This is kind of amazing, isn't it? Go big or go home, eh?
Or a funeral.
We want the British government to know that we are angry, and if it takes footage of buses being burnt, there's a load of people willing to do that.
I'm worried a new generation may not be grasping the lessons of our past.
I think violence is the answer. Somebody's going to get killed here.
The idea of a paddy being on top of a bonfire in itself, it seems a bit weird.
A century after Northern Ireland was created, I want to know what the future holds for the place I call home.
Hi Paddy, how are you?
How are you getting on?
I don't know if I'm just incredibly naive, but I do have this real sense of hope about this place, and I hope I'm right about that.
Oh wow.
If you want history to repeat itself, you need to tell the next generation. If you don't speak about it, it's going to happen again.
I left Northern Ireland in my late 20s, but I go back whenever I can. It's a place that will always be part of me, but it also holds some difficult memories.
2 hooded men armed with handguns walked into the contractors at about 11:30. They shot Mr. Kielty several times.
I was 16 when my dad was killed during the Troubles, a 30-year conflict that claimed the lives of more than 3,000 people. I'd never want anyone else to go through what my family and many others had to. But this year, there's been violence on the streets and growing talk that we could end up leaving the UK.
You know, in recent years, the idea of people rioting and in trouble, we haven't had that. And this trip, I really want to find out how people are really feeling about what's happening now and where this place is going. So here we go, back home in Northern Irish soil.
Right now, borders are a major talking point. Northern Ireland is part of the UK, but the Republic of Ireland is still part of the European Union. After Brexit, there had to be a customs border between the two. It was decided a hard border on the island was unworkable, so the British government agreed to a deal with the EU known as the Northern Ireland Protocol and put a border in the Irish Sea. But that new sea border has led to some people feeling cut off from the rest of the UK.
Loyalist Sandy Row will never accept a border in the Irish Sea. No to the sea border. There's more signs up opposing the sea border than there are celebrating 100 years in Northern Ireland.
Throughout its 100-year history, Northern Ireland's been largely split along religious lines.
Northern Ireland centenary.
Many Protestants are loyal to Britain, whilst many Catholics want to reunite with the Irish Republic. But this year, in some Protestant areas, it seems like people are more determined than ever to show they're British to the core.
This is kind of amazing, isn't it? Go big or go home, eh?
This is the shop you come to if you want to pin your colours to the mast. Not exactly familiar turf for a former Catholic altar boy like me.
Didn't expect to see you in here, Patrick.
There you are now.
But I'm keen to know how people around here feel about the centenary.
What has caught your eye so far?
This hat, that's what he's got a hat.
Okay,
New family heirloom.
if that lasts long enough to be passed down to anybody, you're doing all right.
I'll look after it.
And you've got the centenary shirt on.
Yeah, another one, a different colour.
All right, okay, so they do these in different colours.
Aye.
What's the celebrations going to be like, or are there going to be any celebrations?
There will be in Ballyboley, definitely. Any excuse, yeah.
For a
We
party?
just love Queen and Country.
Do you feel that recently you kind of need to put that on display a wee bit more? Does it feel that things are a wee bit more under threat?
You feel a wee bit forgotten about at times.
Forgotten by who?
Governments, you can be sort of pushed aside. Like, we have a fight for identity in a way. You're fighting for who you are, to show who you are, that we're still here. We exist.
For me, talking to you guys and seeing, how much being part of the UK means, it's interesting because when I go back to London, nobody really talks about this place.
That's a great wee place. Everybody should come here.
That is the most Northern Ireland thing that anyone has ever said. It's a great wee place. And then you're going to go and pay. Everything's wee here, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's a great wee place. It's a great wee country. Would you like to pay for your wee hat?
Oh, it's a great wee hat.
Would you put in your wee PIN number?
The centenary is a chance for Protestants to reaffirm their British identity. But it's been largely ignored by Catholics. You have one half of the country is never going to celebrate Northern Ireland because they don't believe in it. You've got the other half who believes that they're been sold out by the UK government. So, happy birthday. Slice of cake. Ireland was part of the British Empire until 1921. But following a battle for independence, a border was drawn across the island. The largely Catholic south became a republic, but the north, where there was a Protestant majority, remained part of the UK. The border led to immediate and lasting conflict between Catholics and Protestants in the new Northern Ireland, culminating in the Troubles, when more than 3,000 families like mine lost loved ones. Northern Ireland was born out of conflict. It's never managed to fully shake it off. That conflict is in the psyche. In 1998, we signed up to an historic peace deal.
I believe Northern Ireland has come to a time of peace, a time when hate will no longer rule.
The Good Friday Agreement meant paramilitaries convicted during the Troubles were released from jail, including my dad's killers. For me, it was a price worth paying because it brought us peace and prosperity. But after Brexit and the introduction of the sea border, tensions were reignited this Easter that most of us thought had been consigned to the past.
The Brexit arrangements continue to be divisive in Northern Ireland, with protests in Loyalist communities who see the protocol as undermining their British identity.
Street protests erupted into riots.
There have been a number of arrests of teenagers as young as 13, and in Derry, police say children aged 12 were involved in the attacks.
This should be history. This isn't how it's meant to be. The lesson here shouldn't be, and then you take the bottle and you put the petrol in. That's not the lesson. The lesson should be, we used to do this. It got us nowhere. After the riots, Loyalist representatives were invited to an online meeting to explain the violence to a committee of MPs.
Is that the time then violence is the answer?
I'm not sure if and when violence will be the answer. I'm just saying that I wouldn't sort of rule it off the table.
That's 19-year-old Joel Keyes, who's emerged as a new voice for young Loyalists. Joel was arrested at the riots and released without charge. He says he was looking out for a friend. I want to find out why young people in his community would consider taking the law into their own hands.
All right.
Joel,
how's it going?
not too bad. How's tricks?
Good. I'm good. Bit warm.
The blue sky of Ulster. That's what it is.
It is indeed, and we're not used to it. We are known for complaining, and I'm complaining.
People in England, the news that they're seeing is this place on fire. It's not really sending out the right message, is it?
Well, I think it is. It's sending out the right message in the sense that You know, we want English people to know and the British government to know that we are angry and we are frustrated. And if it takes, you know, footage of buses being burnt, there's a load of people willing to do that. I understand like where these people are coming from. Like, they are angry and they're frustrated and they feel that they are potentially going to lose everything that's important to them. It's all about maintaining our right to remain British.
Are you saying there's going to be more violence?
My genuine fear would be that if things got worse, and it could get worse in a number of ways, you know, are other groups of people going to come out, and that may be paramilitaries. They exist, whether we like it or not, they exist.
They do exist. I mean, I'm looking at this wall, and there's quite a lot of paramilitary stuff. Is this a tribute to a moment in time, or is this a present-day threat?
I'm genuinely not sure what the line of reasoning behind this was. What I can say is that, you know, my dad was a mural painter, and anything that he painted referred to the historical kind of organisations.
Okay, and your dad didn't do this one?
No, my dad did one up the street. If you're happy to take a walk up, I'd be glad to show you.
Yeah, let's do that.
Joel's dad was a well-known Loyalist mural painter. He died in an industrial accident when Joel was 7. No matter how you feel about this way of marking the past, there's no denying the talent on display.
Your dad was a great artist. I mean, this is...
Look, it's what he loved to do, and you've got all kind of different aspects of him and his identity just put into one place.
The little bits in the crown and, you know, the light and the shade up here with the thistles and different things.
He was brilliant at everything, but he could never do people's noses. He could never get it right.
What are you trying to say, Joel? Yeah. Are you saying that there was
I'm saying if he was painting you, you'd probably be wearing a balaclava.
What do you think your dad would make of all that's going on at the minute?
I think he'd be sad. I think he'd be sad that we've reached a point where everything just seems to be going so wrong.
For me, Joel is Northern Ireland. He's articulate, he could take on the world, and he has got such strong principles. But I worry for him that with all of this stuff that's going on, he could get maybe sucked up into the wrong direction.
But in these communities, there are still people who are helping to steer things in the right direction.
He's our world champion. Would you please welcome Carl the Jackal Frampton!
Former world boxing champion Carl Frampton is a working-class Protestant done good.
Think about your distance.
And he's united both sides with his work in and out of the ring.
So, always active after it, right? About 30 seconds left. Number 3, go! Explode! Go! Go! Wow. Well done, lads.
All right, champ.
I'm all right, mate. How you doing? Do you want to do a bit?
You see, I'm worried if I go on the bag there, the bag might win the round 10-8.
Right, all right.
I want to know if Carl thinks the recent unrest is anything to be really concerned about.
During the Troubles, this square mile would have seen a lot of bother.
Yeah, it was mental. Bit of a war zone, bit like the Wild West. Even when I was a kid, it was just the way your life was. It was exciting at times as a kid. Like, I would have got involved in some of the trouble and the riots, not because of the bad kid, but because it was happening at the bottom of my street, 50 yards from my front door, and you went down and threw a few stones, the cops, army, the Catholics on the other side as well, and vice versa. That's just the way it was. But when you grow up and you start to be able to think for yourself, it kind of changes your whole outlook.
How much has Brexit changed things here?
It's changed things massively. We're kind of in no man's land here in Northern Ireland. I don't think we're cared about at all, really, by the Tory government in power at the minute. I think we're a bit more of a hindrance than anything. Boris Johnson made all these promises which haven't materialised, and everyone knows, and I'm very, very proud to come from Northern Ireland, but because of Brexit and because of the tension, I've had conversations with my wife about potentially moving, don't know where. Middle East we're thinking about for a while. Even Spain has been a conversation, but just I think that there's the potential for real violence here again, and I don't want to see it myself, and I don't want to bring my kids up around it.
That's big news for me.
Yeah, it is. Do you know, flip me, do you know what? I'm getting it's emotional really for me, because I do love this place. I genuinely love this place, and I love the people as well, and the majority of the people are good people. And a lot of them people that were involved in the protest that we've seen recently are good people as well. The majority of them, I would say, but they're feeling left behind.
See, part of me thought that these kids throwing petrol bombs was maybe just a blip. The fact that you're telling me that you think there is going to be more trouble.
Potential, yeah. There is potential for that, and
that worries me.
Yeah, it worries me too. It worries me too.
This place is 100 this year. I expected to come and talk to you today, and you would say, you know, the best 100 years are ahead of this place. You know, and I'm going to be sticking around to actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
It feels really weird for you to be thinking that you're not.
I hope I am here forever, if I'm being honest, and I hope things calm down, and I hope they don't blow up. Pardon the pun, but I'm just worried.
The idea that one of our local heroes would consider leaving makes it hit home how much Brexit has changed things here, and how fragile things can be when you scratch the surface. And for me, it's bringing up feelings that I thought I'd dealt with a long time ago. I'm on my way to the village of Dundrum in the southeast corner of Northern Ireland. For me, it's home. When I bring the kids here, and you know, you're in the mountains and you've got the biking trails and you've got the beaches, and you know, I remember the first time I brought the wife here and she was, my God, this is gorgeous. But it's also the place where 33 years ago, my dad was murdered.
As the RUC staged a reconstruction of the murder scene, police drove a car identical to the one used by the killers through Dundrum village. The 44-year-old businessman may have been murdered by Loyalists. The police have asked anyone with information about Mr. Kielty's murder to contact them.
My dad owned a building firm here, and he was working in certain parts of Belfast, and you had to pay protection money in those days, you know, the paramilitaries. He decided that he wasn't going to pay, and he went to the police, which made him a target.
A lot of people actually feel that their loved ones died for something, fighting for Ireland or defending Ulster or keeping the peace. You know, my dad, he died for nothing. My dad wasn't involved in politics, he wasn't involved in any paramilitaries. I mean, he was a builder.
When you get used to people not being around, it's hard to miss them, isn't it? But I miss the good times. I miss all the good times that we had, you know. It was the fun, it was the unpredictability of it all, which was good crack, you know.
I know the loss of him not being here has affected me, but there's no one you can talk to in Northern Ireland that doesn't have a story like that, directly or indirectly. But there's so many people here that they're still a little bit broken. There's still part of me broken. And so when you see a kid throwing a petrol bomb in a street in Belfast, you're thinking, how's that been allowed to happen? It makes me sad and it makes me angry because we signed a peace agreement. And now we're back trying to square a circle that we had already found the answer to. People here shouldn't have to do this twice.
I need to get myself cleaned up here.
Since I've been back, I've realised that recent events have re-triggered some of the trauma from my past. I always thought my generation would be the last to have to deal with the pain and damage of the Troubles. But apparently younger people are now seeking help for something called transgenerational trauma. Rona McConville is a Catholic born at the end of the conflict, but she comes here for help because she's been traumatised by the Troubles too.
Rona,
Hi, how are you doing?
You alright?
I'm alright. Did you have a good flight over, was it?
No, took the wee boat over this time. Took the scenic route. Yeah.
Money must be tight for getting the boat.
Money. You see, that is a classic Northern Ireland. That's a classic Northern Ireland welcome there.
Do you want to come
Should
over?
we get ahead in here?
In 1972, Rona's granny Jean McConville was abducted and murdered by the IRA, who claimed she was a British Army informer, although no evidence of this was ever produced. Her young family was plunged into the spotlight.
Do you know why your mummy went away? Do you know why she was taken away?
No, she's never done anything. She's never.
She'd never done anything.
She was always in the house next to just land the Bengal.
Jean's 10 children, including Brona's dad, were left orphaned and didn't find out where their mum's body was for another 30 years. In 2003, the police searched the beach in the Irish Republic after the IRA claimed they'd buried her there. Brona, who was just a young child at the time, was there during the search.
When did you know what happened, or when did you find out? How old were you?
So, I would have been about P4, you're about 8, aren't you?
7 or 8.
Yeah. I just thought we were really lucky at the time going to the beach, as a child does. But see, now I wouldn't go to the beach. I don't like going to the beach because I know why I was at the beach.
So, how did it affect you then whenever you found out about your granny?
I never had any problems until my granny's funeral. My dad had got doves to release and my teacher took the photo of me in the paper and he showed everyone. And looking back on that now, I wish my teacher never had done that because I always felt different then. Because I didn't know if people were talking about it. Like I had anxiety when I was in school, obviously, so I did. And I never got to meet my granny. That was taken from me and no one thought about that. I was robbed of all the chances of having memories with my granny, and that's something I live with, and I have so many questions that I would love answers. You know, yeah, I would love to know, would I be my granny's favourite? You know, you have those wee things.
This thing, transgenerational trauma, how does it work? I mean, is our generation putting their trauma onto you?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily being put on us. I would say unintentionally.
How has your dad been?
My dad never wanted to speak about my granny really in the house. He shielded us from that there. I try to get my dad to talk because to me that's how it helps. If you don't speak about it, it's going to happen again. If you don't want history to repeat itself, you need to tell the next generation.
It seems to me that there's a lot of people in this place living with trauma.
And they're bringing up families. So then that's going on. It's a ripple effect and it's being brought on back to the rest of us.
My generation seems to be trying to put a lid on it
Yeah.
to protect your generation. And in actual fact, by us trying to put a lid on it,
Yeah.
we're actually not helping you at all.
No, I don't think so. Like, how do you deal with your stuff? You've seen a lot more than I've seen.
I don't deal with it as well as I thought I did. And I think with some of the stuff that's happened here recently, it shows you that you don't need much of a trigger here.
No, and the stuff that's happened here, those kids are far younger than me.
People here aren't getting enough help though, are they?
No.
Before I leave, Brona's invited me to write a message on a tree planted in memory of her granny.
Let's keep talking about the past and the future.
Let's hope you remember that. That can be your motto. Where are you going to put it? There we go.
Whenever I heard Brona talking about her granny and what had been taken away from her, I had never really put my brain into that space before. When my dad was killed, something was taken away from me. The idea that it was also taken away from a generation, which is the next generation, that's something that I haven't thought about. And now I'm wondering, how many other Bronas are there?
I'm beginning to realise there's far more of us carrying the pain and damage of the past than I thought, with residual trauma been triggered by current events, and the fact that we could soon be reaching a crossroads. For the first time since Northern Ireland was created, there are nearly as many Catholics as Protestants living here, and many of them would like a referendum or border poll to vote on whether we should reunite with the Irish Republic.
I firmly believe that within this decade the people will have the opportunity to freely choose new constitutional and political arrangements on this island as underpinned by the provisions of the Good Friday Agreement. So now change is in the air.
The prospect of a united Ireland is something many Catholics would welcome. It's July, the height of the marching season, when Protestant communities across Northern Ireland reassert their British identity. As part of the tradition, they build bonfires to mark the Battle of the Boyne, when more than 300 years ago, a Protestant king defeated a Catholic king.
Weirdly, the biggest flag of all is the Irish flag, which is on the bonfire to be burnt as a rejection of Ireland. This is kind of the bonfire equivalent of booing the opposition's national anthem.
This festival has always been a flashpoint for conflict because most Catholics see it as triumphalist and anti-Irish. It's not something I'd usually attend, but I want to catch up with Joel, the young loyalist I met at the beginning of my trip.
Joel!
You alright?
What's the crack?
How's it going?
Not too bad, what are you at?
Putting in the hard work for the big bonfire that we've invited you to. You should come and help build it so that you can say that you were part of the process.
Okay, no problem.
Because that's kind of what gives it its thing, is knowing that you helped take part in it, you know?
Let's go. Okay.
They're not too heavy.
No, they're not too bad.
Oh, just over here anywhere. So you look to make a big circle kind of base thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say traditional, but this is kind of the way that you're...
See, Joel, I'm not happy with that. You see, I think that needs to... that, you know? Everything kind of has to be fairly straight.
Yep.
Yep. Whoa, there we go.
Oh. There you go.
Oh. Do you get to choose or decide who helps you build or who's allowed to come out to the campfire? Is anybody welcome or how does it work?
Anybody's welcome, but obviously, you know, if a stranger walks up and you don't really know them and everyone else does know each other, well, there's someone coming to leave something off for the bonfire now.
There you go.
What are you doing here?
We're just chillaxing here. We're just chilling out.
Right, I was going to ask you where do you want this, but I don't suppose you care.
Well, I mean, I will personally put that in for you. No, I actually will. Hang on, so where do you want this? You want this in...
You know what, leave it there.
Hang on, sure, look. Here we go.
No way. Ah, look at that.
Yeah, no, don't you worry about it. I've thrown a couple of pallets on here already, so... I mean, this is a very surreal moment here. The idea of a paddy being on top of a bonfire in itself, this seems a bit weird.
So many jokes.
You don't even have to write the jokes.
No,
I mean, they're there.
Yay.
Boom.
One piece.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, lovely. Hang on. Yeah. All right.
I can see how bonfires are a great focal point for Joel's community. And it's nice to see him at ease like this, But I'm still concerned if there is more trouble, he could get caught up in it. So I want him to hear from someone who's been there before.
Okay, Polly.
You all right?
Okay, Joe.
Good to see you.
During the Troubles, Jackie MacDonald was a Loyalist paramilitary commander, and organisations like his were responsible for hundreds of murders. But these days, he's a community worker, trying to keep the peace.
Jackie, you know, Joel and I have spoken a wee bit about this. I mean, what's going on with the kids?
See the bigotry and hatred now, Polly. It's getting worse again.
Why is that?
You know, Brexit certainly hasn't helped. And the talk about United Ireland and the new Ireland, you know, it scares our young people. And no made it worse, just previous to the Brexit stuff. The 50th anniversary of the Troubles. So there's all these documentaries where it showed you the bombs going off and it showed you the bodies and it showed you everything else. And our young lads, some of them were sitting back saying, yeah, but we missed all that. You know, they think that was brilliant because they didn't see the downside. My life just destroyed it, ruined my family life, lost the jobs, everything. I went into prison, I was married. When I came out, I was divorced, and all I had was what I stood up in. I hadn't even got a home to go to. I ended up staying with friends. You know, and I says, we'll have to stop this, we can't go on like this.
Do you worry for someone like Joel?
I worry about all of our young people. I think violence is the answer. Somebody's going to get killed here. So your friends are going to get killed, some of your parents maybe get killed.
Do you think it's easier to pass down the fear and mistrust rather than the lessons from that?
There's too many people just passing that down.
Seeing what's going on now and listening to us, I mean, would there ever be a set of circumstances where you would consider paramilitaries or not?
Would I join a group of people who are committed to protecting their communities? Yes. You know, I would. Paramilitary organisation does not have to mean going out and shooting innocent people in the head. You know, it doesn't have to mean that. Paramilitary organisation can mean your next door neighbours who organises little community events and enhances your culture. You know, they're not all bad guys.
I completely understand the idea that a community needs people to steer a community in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I just worry that the word military is in paramilitary.
Yeah.
Normally somebody ends up dying. You know, my dad was killed and, you know, Jackie was part of an organisation that killed my dad. But we're saying the exact same thing. We can't go back there.
That's very important what you said. I've been there, you've been there, and we don't want to go back. So much wrong happened, you know.
Yeah.
They were just killing innocent people on either side, and they didn't care, like your father. You know, as far as I'm concerned, he was an innocent victim. It shouldn't have happened.
I'm almost happier that he did die for nothing because it proves the futility of what we all went through. I mean, the brilliant thing is the fact that Jackie and I are actually able to sit here and have a chat about that and to realise that we've turned the page and, you know, we kind of are looking at your generation haven't turned that page, but we're concerned.
You know, I would agree that our generation doesn't really understand that like there's a difference between little stories that you heard of and actual reality. I'm like, well, if you two on two completely different sides of the conflict are coming here and agreeing and saying the same thing and passing on the same message, it's like, well, they must be talking some sense. It's something that we'll regret not listening to if we don't. Do you know what I mean?
That was a difficult conversation that Jackie and I had. Jackie has caused a lot of pain to a lot of people. But sitting down with Jackie, I can now see that Jackie's been through a lot of pain. You know, and Jackie still carries that pain with him. And so he doesn't want anyone to be the next Jackie MacDonald. and he talked a lot of sense. I felt there was a connection there. And then to have Joel say that he wouldn't rule out joining a paramilitary organisation. You know, if you join a paramilitary organisation, you know, the chances are is that you're going to be handed a gun at some point. There is a chance you're going to be asked to use it. There is a chance that that gun will end up destroying someone's life. You know, like mine or Jackie's. Joel got the story today from both sides. There's no winners.
Joel's community is fearful a united Ireland might be over the horizon, and that Northern Ireland has been cut adrift by the rest of the UK. But the Prime Minister Boris Johnson believes there may be a permanent way to solidify the Union, and it's up here on the North Coast.
Now is the time, I think, to progress the admirable suggestions of Professor Alan Dunlop of Liverpool University and develop plans for a bridge between Scotland and Northern Ireland, as I think.
Torr Head is just 12 miles away from the Mull of Kintyre in Scotland, and it's a proposed location for the bridge. Professor Alan Dunlop is the architect who suggested the idea.
Okay, Alan, so I'm here, I'm looking to Scotland, I'm visualising this bridge. How does it work?
Right, so these are a combination of a number of the sketches which shows how the thing might work. A rail bridge underneath, towers supported by the kind of shallower water layer which will support the road bridge, which will eventually go into a tunnel which takes you undersea and come up in the Mull of Kintyre. It would be awe-inspiring. I mean, I'm standing here, my heart's almost leaping out my mouth at the wonder of the thing.
Like, looking at this, anything's possible. But, I mean, my dad was a builder.
Yeah.
I mean, the first question is, what do you want?
Yeah.
And the second question is, how much money have you got?
Right. Well,
so, I mean, what's this going to cost?
The bridge connecting Torr Head over to Mull of Kintyre by £12 billion.
Would you take 8 for cash?
Do you have 8 on you? I'll take it right now if you have it. Right.
You know, why would somebody spend that type of money to link to a really small economy?
It is a small economy, but the potential there is to be linked to a greater economy. And I talk about the Øresund Bridge, which connects Copenhagen to Malmö. And it was built to show Europe what 2 small countries, Sweden and Denmark, could do jointly. So there is the population, I think, which is comparable to show how it might work. And this would be the chance to create a Celtic powerhouse.
You know, there's so much talk about the Union breaking up. Do you think this is a bit of a ruse to try to keep Unionists in Northern Ireland happy?
It might be. I don't know. I know there's a degree of scepticism. But I look upon it myself that a good idea is a good idea. An idea that would benefit people on both sides of the Irish Sea.
I have to say, Alan, before I met you, I was pretty sceptical about this bridge. And after listening to you, I kind of feel I'm only half a bottle of whiskey away from trying to build it myself.
For $8 billion.
For $8 billion cash. You know, if you're a unionist here in Northern Ireland and you have that paranoia that the rest of the UK doesn't really want you, a physical link would be something which would make you feel better. But this bridge, even if it gets the go-ahead, isn't going to be built for another 25 years. That's another generation. That's another generation of mistrust in this place. I just don't think we have the time.
The row over the sea border has left some Protestants feeling left behind, but for decades, many Catholics felt the same. Northern Ireland was created to ensure a Protestant majority, and under their rule, Catholics were denied voting rights and equal access to jobs and housing. I'm heading to Derry, or Londonderry, depending on which side you're from. A city with a Catholic majority that became home to a civil rights movement, and where in 1972 a peaceful march ended in a notorious atrocity. On Bloody Sunday, the army opened fire on the marchers, killing 13 people. These days, Northern Ireland is a much more equal society, and Derry is a city on the up, better known for an international hit comedy.
Jesus! Hey, this isn't great. It's not that big a deal. They're about to blow up an entire suitcase of vodka, Michelle. I know. Animals.
Why is this place so mental?
That's enough, James. She's serious fucking anger management issues. Do you know that?
Derry Girls uses dark humour to re-examine the tail end of the Troubles through the adventures of 5 Catholic teenagers.
Well, Lisa.
Hi, Patty, how are you?
Writer Lisa McGee based the series on her life as a Catholic schoolgirl here, and there's huge local pride in its success.
I mean, this is just kind of amazing and magnificent, isn't it?
Yes, and massive. Considering all the sort of very serious political murals there are throughout Derry, if there's going to be a mural of these 5 Egypts in the centre of the town, but it's great.
Like me, Lisa moved to England when she was younger, but recently she moved back home with her young family.
I have 2 young boys and I wanted them to grow up here. So we'll see how it goes, but so far I'm loving it.
Why did you want them to grow up here?
I wanted them to have a bit of what I had, but not all of it, the good side of it, you know? Not so much the troublesy bits, but the nice side of it.
It's a city that had a lot of poverty, a lot of division, and it was a city where the Catholic majority were pretty much kept in their place. Would that be the correct way of putting it?
I feel like they probably felt for a long time they were second-class citizens, to be honest.
Did you ever feel that you were a second-class citizen growing up here?
I didn't feel like I was a second-class citizen, but I felt like there were a lot of struggles that happened by the people that went before me to make sure that I wasn't. But I think you do inherit this stuff. It's a terrible thing to admit, but there's a part of you, right, that when you're an adult and you meet someone from Northern Ireland, a wee bit of you tries to work out if they're Catholic or Protestant still quickly, because it was forced. We were taught how to do that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, but you still have to try and work it out, you know.
Okay, so this is just a little exercise I like to kick off with.
Give me strength.
I want you guys to give me examples of things that Catholics and Protestants have in common and things that they don't have in common. Let's start with similarities. Yes?
Protestants are British and Catholics are Irish.
So that's actually a difference. Quite a big difference. Now, back to similarities.
Catholics watch RTE.
Protestants love cleaning.
Protestants are taller. Catholics have more freckles.
Protestants hate ABBA.
Okay, thank you.
How much effect has Derry Girls had on the people that you meet from here?
It kind of allowed people to talk about the weirdness of it all in a way that felt light and not threatening. It was a wee comedy show. Actually, the only one anyone was annoyed with was the ABBA thing. I got so many Protestants saying, we love ABBA. And I was like, I can't believe this is the first time you've had anything to say about Derry Girls.
You know, growing up here, growing up Irish, growing up beside a border, and there's talk of a border poll now, if Northern Ireland voted to be part of the Republic, how do you think that's going to work?
I think it could only work if everybody agreed. The most important thing here is peace and sustaining that. How do you feel about that?
Having met, some working class, Protestant kids now who feel that they don't have anything.
Yeah.
I think it's way too easy to say, well, there's a united Ireland and everybody sails into the sunset.
You never want anyone to feel like we felt.
No.
Like they're being forced to be called something that they don't feel. Making sure we're all happy with whatever is going to happen has to be the priority. But I feel like, I don't know if I'm just incredibly naive, but I do have this real sense of hope about this place because of the people, and people want to move forward. So I kind of think we've been through a lot. We're going to get through whatever. And I hope I'm right about that.
we don't want to talk about what we've been through because we're maybe slightly ashamed of it. I think the first step to realising how it affects you is maybe to have a laugh at yourself. And Lisa's helped us do that. Lisa is brilliant at shining a light on shared experience. And the minute that you do that, you realise by recognition, it's okay. There's nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed about. And the fact that she's been away and wants to come back here, that's a huge vote of confidence. I'm way more hopeful for the immediate future having spoken to Lisa.
There are good reasons to feel that most people here are moving forward. Back in 2005, despite a wave of protest,
Are you okay? Yes, okay.
local Catholic Gráinne Close and her American partner Shannon Sickles became the UK's first civil partners. Having helped lead the way to a more progressive way of life here in Northern Ireland, they're now getting on with theirs.
Hi, how are you?
Gráinne, Shannon.
Nice to meet you.
How are you doing? Is that right?
Good, yes, yes.
Yeah? Are you just reliving all your yesterdays? Is that what you're chatting about there? So have you been back in here much or not?
When it comes to our constitutional future, for me, Gráinne and Shannon represent the people in Northern Ireland whose voices aren't heard enough. But I think it's people like them who will hold the key to what happens to this place.
Northern Ireland is such a curious place, isn't it? And especially not being from here. But what I observe, and I don't know if it's a history of trauma and struggle and violence or coming through something, but if they can find a way to connect with you, they're some of the most solid people I have ever met that would give you the shirt off their back. Then on the flip side of that, you've got kind of this parade season where a lot of the bigotry and hatred gets fueled all over again.
With all of this upheaval now, there's talk about a border poll coming. And the middle ground that are the floating voters are going to be the people that are going to decide this one way or the other.
Right now, I'm probably part of that middle ground. Like, I think back as a child, you know, you grew up thinking a united Ireland was where you wanted to go. But my priorities have changed. You know, now that we have a family and now that we have a young daughter, like I'm putting my energy into her future. And for me, the things that are important are around health, housing, education, jobs, opportunities, and everything else that's going on. You kind of, you know, in terms of politics, you kind of feel like you're done with it, you know, because it's giving you nothing.
You know, what's refreshing is that you're actually talking about making a decision based on how our daughter's going to be, what my life is going to look like, what my job is going to look like, how my healthcare is going to be.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we want opportunities to thrive. And there are plenty of opportunities to thrive in Northern Ireland. It's just about how we grasp them and figure it out and make it work for everybody who's living here, with all the different viewpoints and opinions.
I do think there is hope. It's been very good to us, hasn't it? It has been very good.
We are obsessed in Northern Ireland about what the constitutional future of the place is going to be. Is this place going to be British? Is this place going to be Irish? And it's going to be decided by people like Gráinne and Shannon. And social issues are the things that are going to make that decision. The people in the middle in this place, the vast majority of people in the middle, are going to actually be at the heart of how this place changes or doesn't. Any progress that we've made in this part of the world is by sharing the space. All the best, hope you get in.
And realising that someone who lives here might see this place different from you, but you all still love this place.
I'm keeping all right. Just behaving yourself.
You have a huge amount of people in Northern Ireland that actually want to get on with their lives and better themselves, better their families.
Welcome home. Welcome home. mean, I hadn't been out in the centre of Belfast in a long, long time. I'd forgotten how much crack it is, you know, how much fun it is and how relaxed the place is. This is 90% of this place. The energy, the buzz, the fun, you know, the optimism that people have. This is what it is.
Tonight's been the reminder I needed that this place is still moving forward. But there are still some who seem reluctant to embrace that optimism. It's bonfire night in Northern Ireland, a time when tensions are always high and most Catholics stay away. With the Irish flag about to be burned on the bonfire, it's easy to see why. But if we're ever going to properly share the future, we need to find ways to come together.
Joel, my man,
how's it going?
What's happening?
Nice to see you. I'm glad you're here.
Good to see you. Are we ready to get this going?
We're ready to rock. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I've decided to go to Joel's bonfire. I did help build it after all.
Where do we go?
Go down.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Oh wow. Whoa. I mean, I have to say, Joel, there was a moment there where I was like, whoa.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah? Oh, Jackie.
Former Loyalist paramilitary Jackie MacDonald is at the celebrations too.
This is the first bonfire I've been at in my life. I would like more people from a Catholic nationalist background to actually come and see a bonfire, because for me, the mystery goes. But then it's that thing of, if their flag is on top of the bonfire, will there ever be a point where they could come and sort of see what this actually is rather than what they think it is?
Personally, I'm not a fan of tricolour stuff being up on the bonfires, but you know, I think it's all about celebrating our own culture and it's not about anyone else's.
A shared future is a place where you can disagree as well as agree.
I want a Northern Ireland where people can be happy with each other and live and let live. That's what it's all about.
I do see what you're saying, you know, can we create a shared future? Maybe we can, maybe we can't.
I think one of the things for this community is they do feel that no one's maybe in their corner. But I didn't like the idea of someone's flag on top of that bonfire. So I think we still have a little bit to go in terms of trying to make things inclusive, but sometimes stuff isn't completely inclusive. And you have to come and take from it what is good.
Across Northern Ireland, the bonfires may have seemed bigger than ever. But despite the worries, the threat of further violence hasn't materialised. That anxiety, though, is always there in the background. Before I leave, I'm going back to see Brona McConville. She's asked me to meet her at a beach in the Irish Republic. This is where her granny's body was discovered in 2003 after she was abducted and murdered by the IRA. It's the first time Brona's been able to come back here since then.
Well, Brona.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Why did you want to come back here today?
Because if I didn't show you, or show myself, that the right way to move forward for us all is to talk and to do things that make us uncomfortable, then wasn't I a hypocrite to try and get you to change? So me coming here it is hard, but it needed to be done, and I just have to cope with it. You know, it'll be a lot to think about, because I do have things that I'm thinking about that I'd never thought about before. You know how she must have felt. I just think it would be such a lonely place to come to. People probably come down here and think, beautiful, lovely to sit at, where I just think it's horrible. But the longer I do stand here, it eases a bit.
When I stand on the beach in Dundrum
Mm-hmm.
and I look one way,
Mm-hmm.
I see where my dad was killed.
Yep.
I have a look another way.
Mm-hmm.
I see people having a really nice time.
You do.
And I think that's what it's about for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about never stop talking about this.
Yep.
But we kind of have to look to here as well.
Yeah. So we're on a journey together, Paddy. Me and you.
You and me, Brona. It's been 50 years
Mhm.
since your granny was killed.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years since you've been on this beach.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Northern Ireland going to be in another 20 years and another 50 years, do you think?
I'd like for us to have a united Ireland. Very much so. But at the same time, I would hope it would be closer to everyone feeling they belong, and that there's no more divide between us.
It's about trying to share this space, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's big enough space to share.
Coming back home this time has been harder than I thought. I've realised that while we've made peace in Northern Ireland, so many of us, including myself, don't necessarily have peace of mind. The question of whether Northern Ireland remains part of the United Kingdom or becomes part of a united Ireland still matters as much as it's ever done. But wherever our borders are drawn, or whatever side you're on, how we continue to heal ourselves and look after each other on that journey matters more. "100 years on, what does the border tell us now about our national and cultural identities? To find out more from my own experience, watch my interview with the Open University. Go to bbc.co.uk/100 Years of Union and follow the links to the OU.